Plan on flying? It's time to upgrade to a real ID. Because in order to board domestic flights, your driver's license or state-issued ID must be a real ID, or you'll need another acceptable form of identification. So don't wait. Find out how to get your real ID at tsa.gov/real ID. That's tsa.gov/real ID, or visit your local DMV. And then you'll be cleared for takeoff. Plan on flying? In order to board domestic flights, your driver's license or state-issued ID must be a real ID. Learn how to get your real ID today at tsa.gov/real ID, or visit your local DMV.
Live at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
For some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Mike Anderson Seafood, Wesley at Nicholson, welcome to the Tuesday edition of Live at Lunch. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, Jimmy Ott. Jordan Kinchin's back in the studio. Day after Cinco de Mayo. They're just taking the decorations down here. They hit Cinco de Anderson. Just say, how you feeling, Bo?
Better.
Yeah, that's good.
Better.
That's
not
good.
100, but better.
Yeah.
Better.
You look considerably healthier today than yesterday.
Yes.
Give you
flushed some things.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
That's good. Hope everybody enjoyed the Cinco de Mayo. We certainly did over at Modesto. They had a really nice crowd here at Mike Anderson's, and we move on. And like I said, they just took all the decorations down, and we'll
couldn't ask for better weather.
Especially with what is supposed to be blowing through here.
Damn. Missed a good day yesterday.
Yeah, it was a fantastic weather day, and today probably not so much. I don't know that they're going to be able to. I don't know if they're going to be able to get in that game tonight. That's going to be pretty challenging. So we're kind of keeping an eye on that for LSU's baseball game. We're Grambling, but we had two really entertaining games in NBA last night, and both road teams won. The Knicks and the Nuggets in Game 1 of their 7-game series. That first game, Jimmy, was I thought it was a little bit of what people love about the NBA, those that love it, and it's fewer than it used to be, in my opinion. And what you love about it and what you hate about it. Last night at the Garden, the Knicks end up winning this thing in overtime, a game that stayed under the total despite the fact that it went to overtime, by playing a lot of physical defense in the second half. A great player in Jalen Brunson, who had a good, strong second half, made buckets down the stretch when they need to. And so you like that. High intensity. All of the players were playing. Everybody is putting out maximum effort. But what a lot of people has turned them off about the NBA, the on-court product, not the off-court product, is the amount of threes that are taken. And the Celtics took 60.
Yeah.
And they missed more than any team has ever missed in a playoff game. They missed 45 of them. And at one point in the game yesterday, with a 10-point lead, they had 20 shots in a row that 19 of them were threes. And when I think we're in lockstep on this. When your outside shot is not falling, college, pro, high school, whatever, if your offense is stagnant, what do? You go to the goal. You try to get fouled. You try to get to the free throw line. You don't just keep jacking up shots. The Celtics kept jacking up shots until they eventually got caught. Knicks reeled them in the fourth quarter and made just enough plays to beat them in the overtime. Celtics are the defending champions. They're the favorites in the East. If they win another NBA title, it's not going to shock anybody. They've got, two great players in their prime and a lot of other really good players. So if they win it, they win it. But last night, if you wanted to find something to like, there was something to like. It was a hard-fought, hard-played, all the stars in it, overtime playoff game that came down to one possession. If you wanted to find something to hate, there was something there too, because they shot a lot of threes.
Well, this stops in the. It's one of the things that stops in the postseason, and it's way more diverse. It's not just a 3-point shooting contest. And when I was talking to a friend, and I was like, look at Jimmy Butler in this play-on game. I mean, he is attacking the rim over and over and over. And Boston, refused to do it last night. That's, and the way they did, they had really zeroed in on the games, and it started in the opening night. It started opening night with the Knicks. They played and they destroyed them. I think they've beaten them like every time, and it's by like 30 every time. I mean, they just home and away just have destroyed them this year. And we're on their way yesterday as well. In halfway through the third quarter, they're up 20. Charlie, I thought a big stat as well, and one of my favorite stats. Karl Anthony Towns is a headache. He is. Minnesota gave up on him, but he is hell to deal with. He is a big dude, and you just tell me, he's the best freshman 7-footer or bigger free throw shooter in the best freshman ever in college basketball.
Yeah,
he shot over 82%. What's that tell you? He can shoot. Mm-hmm. He can shoot. And what's he do? He takes himself out of games with reach-in fouls on defense, which push-offs on offense. And that was 2 of the 3 that they started. Barkley and Kenny Smith also talked about at halftime how he, they're switching every time. So, but Tatum, they're switching, and they're taking him to the goal to draw the foul. Well, you're not taking him to the goal if you just sit there. Well, listen, when Porzingis was in there and he was matched up, Porzingis really didn't want to attack him. He is a headache, but he goes off the floor. Do you know what his plus-minus is? Not the end all. But his plus-minus in the first half was?
Karl Anthony Towns?
Yeah.
My guess is probably somewhere around -4.
Even,
okay.
And they were down with 15 at half. They went to 16-1.
46 to 61.
61-46.
61-45.
61-45. Yeah. And he was and all the other ones are -15, all the other starters. And the other thing is Thibodeau, they talked about it, and that wasn't the reason. Fatigue was not the reason why the Knicks got, beaten easily in Game 7 against home against Indiana last year. But, man, Mikal Bridges, 51 of the 53 minutes?
Yeah.
And he was a star. He was a star down the stretch. He made all the big threes. He made all the big stops. I mean, he was the best player on the floor at coming down the stretch for the, he performed way above his. Now, the final box score didn't tell you that. 3 of 13 from the floor, 2 of 5. But he was so big, all the plays down the stretch. And Karl Anthony Towns was able to play in the second half. And so it just, but Boston, my God, you're so right. Attack the freaking rim, man. It's the playoffs. You got to go. Tatum's got to go, get knocked to the floor, go to the line. Everything's jump shot after jump shot. Well, it was easy in the first half. They built that lead doing that. The only time they really, it was like when a guy would get lost, and they would just find him like somebody was just when I say lost by the defense. And boom, here's a little flip pass to Drew Holiday for an uncontested layup. Yeah. Somebody comes to help, gets lost, and they found Jaylen Brown for a layup or something uncontested. But it wasn't, once they got Karl Anthony Towns, they kind of quit attacking the rim. And they hosted 19 straight threes in a row.
19 out of 20 shots with threes at one stretch. You went from a 10-point lead to, I think, a 2-point deficit.
The coaches, that's on the coach as well. Call timeout, man. Say, man, no, we got to start attacking the rim.
That's
so, no, there's a lot of that. I can't ever remember the first 3 games of the second round all being won by the visitor,
if it's
the lower seed team.
Yeah, if it's happened, I certainly don't remember.
I Googled it today. It said, yes, last time is right now.
Yeah, today.
So, and you still got one tonight.
You do. I love Mikal Bridges. Can I just say that? You know how many games he played this year in the regular season? 82. You know how many he played last year? 82. You know how many he played the year before that? 83, because he got traded from Phoenix to Brooklyn, and they were a game behind. He played an extra game. He played 83 games that year. He played 82 the year before that.
And this box score, like this guy had a bad night. Well, if you watch the game, it was more than that box score. He was big.
He has not missed a game since high school. He never missed a game at Villanova. Has not missed an NBA game in 7 seasons in the league. I love that guy. He's a throwback.
Load management, huh?
Yeah, he don't talk that noise to Bridges. He don't miss games. The Nuggets hung around on
13,
Oklahoma
how
City.
much time to go? 6, 4?
It was the one I focused on was the 9-point lead with just right about 3 minutes to go, and SGA had just made a driving layup, and they're up 9, and you're like, okay, at this point, if you take care of the basketball and you make your free throws,
now with 3 minutes to go,
you're going to be okay. All right, you got enough of a cushion to win. But they didn't take care of the basketball, and they didn't make their free throws. And well, the 2 free throws that were the most important were the 2 that Holmgren missed at the end, which opened the door for Denver. But Joker again last night, and he picked up his 5th foul early in the 4th quarter. And Lou Dort, who is one of the best defenders in the league, I mean, he's given up a ton of size, but Lou Dort will guard you. And he's up in Joker's, basically in his jersey with him, and Joker's going to make an offensive move, and he swings his elbow. It wasn't flagrant, but it was upgraded to a flagrant one. I mean, it wasn't intentional, but it was upgraded to a flagrant, and that's his 5th foul. He can't guard anybody after that. He's got to get out of the way almost, because they cannot afford not to have him in the game with what he's doing offensively.
Didn't they wave off his 6th and give it to somebody else too?
I didn't see that they ever gave it to him, but maybe it was late. I was trying to stay up with it. I didn't see that one, but I saw the foul with Dort, and I'm like, man, that's a tough foul because it's not intentional. He's swinging. He's got the ball in his hands, and he's swinging his elbow to try to make a pivot, and he caught Dort in the head. Okay, I'm not saying it wasn't warranted, but it was a tough way to pick up your 5th foul on the offensive end, and so he's got to be careful. And he made every, talk about free throws. He made just about every, I think he made all of his free throws in the 4th quarter before, and they hung around just enough. And you just had to wonder, playoff experience. Denver has a ton. OKC bowed out last year before we thought they would. And I don't know. Maybe the next time they'll be a little bit better, but I thought that was a veteran team knowing exactly what they had to do. Joker can't pick up a foolish foul there because they can't execute that comeback without him. So.
Oh no, we know that. But Gordon again with a game-winning shot, huh? The pivotal game 4 in Los Angeles to tie it up.
Here's why I like him. This guy was a career 33% three-point shooter, and this year it's gone up to 43%. Why? He bought a house with a gym in the basement. He says he rolls out of bed at night, and if he can't sleep, he goes down to the basement and he shoots.
It works,
it's worked for him.
Now, that's what Barkley was on with the Rockets. This was even at halftime of Game 7. Man, y'all go get in the gym. Go get in the gym. Just in the offseason, work on your game. We know it. We'll know when we see these guys, at the beginning of the season. And that's why we watched Ben Simmons close and like, this guy hasn't worked on his shot at all. And so that's what you do it. And that's when you become a professional, and that's when you got nothing but, it's on you. Do you want to get better? The kid Pritchard, it's after a loss. You think he's gotten better?
Yeah.
And it's the thing that usually, Mookie Blaylock was a bricklayer. Jason Kidd was a bricklayer, in college. Those guys couldn't shoot early in the career.
Magic Johnson was not a great shooter when he came into the league.
No, not at all. No, not at all. That's why The guys that can get to the rim are the hardest ones they're the latest ones to pick up where, oh, no, I got to pick up my shot. LeBron got better and better. It's all of them. So, but you got to put the time in. And, and that's why it's funny where can this young Rockets team develop? They got a bunch of guys, or do you give up a bunch of pieces, some pieces to go get a Giannis? That's a tough call.
Very tough call. Especially, I thought Troy made a good point yesterday. Giannis has got a lot of miles on the odometer. He's played a lot of basketball for 30 years old. You're an old 30 or a young 30. I think he's an older 30. Doesn't mean he doesn't have a lot of good basketball left in him. Doesn't mean he can't win another MVP, but he's a big guy, and he has played a lot of playoff basketball, a lot of basketball. It's just a lot of miles.
I can't believe that these two teams lost. I cannot. I mean, okay. So which one of the three do you think sticks? And I was wrong. I said, man, I think the Knicks are in trouble going back to Detroit 1-1. I mean, they've been They've been behind 90% of the time in the two games. They're very fortunate to split, the two at home. Now they're going to go on the road. Now, you're going to say all these series split. To me, it's one.
If you're going to ask me for one, I'm going to give you Denver. And I'm going to give you Denver because they have a roster of players that have gone not all of them, but a lot of these players have championship experience, and they've got a guy. Joker's, if he's not the best player, these are the two best players in the league this year, the 1-2 in the MVP voting, him and SGA. This guy's been all the way won the Finals MVP. I'm tempted to take Indiana because of Cleveland's lack of playoff experience, but I'm going to go with Denver as having the best chance to win this series, even as good as Oklahoma City's been through the season.
That's the storyline, and that's the concern, and that's the intrigue. Oh, no, these guys have done it before. Okay, so you're going to and look, they blew a fourth-quarter 20-point lead at home in Game 7 to knock them out last year.
Yeah.
They're not going to lose to Dallas. I mean, you say that. Maybe they could have, but, I mean, nobody knows, but I wouldn't have believed it. I mean, but anyway, I think it's Cleveland, and it's because of injuries. Garland was out. He's questionable again tonight. And then, he's not their best player. Donovan Mitchell's their best player. But the second, third, and fourth players are all questionable tonight. Mobley got hurt in Game 1. He's questionable tonight. And help me out, but you got another one.
I didn't see the injury report this morning.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's legit. And if I have one real serious
DeAndre Hunter.
Okay. If I have one serious question about Denver, or at least I did a couple of weeks ago, it's you got a rookie coach. Okay, you got an interim in there. I thought that was going to be a problem. More about that when we get to first, second, no class later on. But he's been fine.
The one concern, the intrigue with Boston, not just to turn it on and come back, is their path last year was light.
Yeah, it was considerably.
That was a light path. And you say, okay, well, they the Knicks are better than what they were last year. But that was the Pacers. The Heat. It was kind of a light, and he got Dallas. I mean, what seed was Dallas last year?
A 5, I think,
something like that. Yeah. I mean, so it was a light pad. I mean, they avoided. They'd rather play Dallas or Denver.
Oh, Dallas
last year. Okay,
Dallas. No question about it.
We're live over here at Mike Anderson's. Mike Anderson's every Tuesday. It is Oyster Night. Is half off. Just shucked oysters on the half shell. Come on by. Of course, we're always doing our char grilled as well. And every time when Randy McCabe was in town, I brought him over here through Mike Anderson. So when my son and some of his buddies were in town for Easter and coming over to the house for Easter because they had too far to go just a week before they go home for the summer for good. I mean, we came over to Mike Anderson's as well. So it's a great place to show off our South Louisiana cuisine over here at Mike Anderson's.
Live at Mike Anderson's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And Baton Rouge.
Remember, the show's available on demand, 1045ESPN.com, LouisianaSports.net. Brand new podcast, Handycast on YouTube right now. Dan Canterbury and myself broke down everything from the Texas A&M series. LSU potentially in action tonight would be the final midweek game of the regular season if Grambling gets to town. the weather doesn't look great. They're supposed to probably make a call on this thing sometime in the next 45 minutes to an hour, but we'll see. I was sort of hoping that LSU would play the game tonight. We'll see if maybe they can get it in. I don't know. There were two reasons, and I don't know if either one of them ends up making or ends up even happening. But there were two things that I was hoping would happen if they played tonight. Number one was that William Schmidt would get to pitch. It's just been a rough go for the freshman. The command issues have not been there. The command issues have plagued him, and the command has not been there. And the only way I know to get out of that is to pitch. You pitch in a game like this where LSU is likely to win this game easily. If they play it, you can get a pitcher in there and build his confidence. He did a nice job in the midweek game last week. You just got to keep pitching. If you're wondering why he hasn't, gotten a spot here and there in SEC play, think about the last 6 games LSU has played in conference play, with the exception of the Sunday game against Tennessee. They've all been either close or LSU has been behind. And Schmidt has walked 9 guys in 2 SEC innings. You can't put him out there right now in a close game. So I'd like to see him out there in a game like this. If that helps, great. Is there somewhere in the postseason where they're going to need him? I don't know. But I don't know any other way to get out of this other than pitching, so I was hoping he would get a chance to pitch. The other one is Devin Sheeran is sort of a wild card. He's a transfer from Mount St. Mary's, tore the knee ligament last summer. And they weren't sure if he was going to be ready at any point in this season. Well, they took him off the injury list a couple of weeks ago. He threw a simulated game last week. And if you're going to work him in, this is the last place to work him in. And I don't know if Jay Johnson, nobody seems to want to talk too much about how the simulated game went. So I don't know if it went good, bad, or whatever. But if they were going to work him in at any point, this would be the last spot where, the game is not all that consequential. You get him out there to see if he can help you out. He's a big kid. He's 6'5". He's about 250 pounds, and he had a ton of strikeouts at Mount St. Mary's last year. 70 innings pitched. He struck out 109. Now he walked a bunch of guys too. 32 walks in the 70 innings. I'm not expecting Devin Sheeran to be a big part of the staff moving forward. I'm not expecting him to eat up big innings. I just want to know if I can get anything out of him at all. Is he ready to pitch? Could he come in there? Can he come in there and get you a strikeout at some point? Maybe in the SEC tournament? I don't know. But you'd certainly like to put him out there in a game like this to sort of make sure. If they play tonight, I don't know if he's going to pitch. Got no idea. I just know that he's finally healthy enough to throw simulated games, so we'll see. You can have an impact in a postseason. I've seen it happen, even for guys that didn't pitch a lot. Chad Jones is the extreme example, but I've seen guys come in and pitch, in a game where you just had to have somebody. You fell into a loser's bracket or something like that. So I would like to have seen him pitch tonight. We should find out before the end of the show today whether they're going to play or not tonight at the box.
Grambling left you?
I don't know. That's a good question. I do know that if you drive from here to Grambling or Grambling to here, you should not speed through the village of Gilbert.
Yes.
Because they will give you a ticket. I know this because I've been to Grambling to call Southern Grambling games before, and I sped through the village of Gilbert, and I paid a price for it twice. Never speed through Gilbert again. Speed trap works. That's been a long time ago. But
when's the last time Smitty threw?
Last Tuesday against Southeast. Was it Southeast? Yeah, Southeast.
Strictly midweek right now.
2 innings of SEC play. He's walked 9. You gotta work him through the midweek right now.
2 innings.
2 innings in
SEC play, and he walked 9.
Yeah. You can't put him out there in a tight SEC game or with LSU behind. And the only game that fit that criteria in the last 2 weeks was a Sunday game against Tennessee, and they didn't throw him in that game because they were going to throw him in the mid. They knew they were going to start him in the midweek game, so they didn't want to pitch him on Sunday knowing he was going to pitch on Tuesday. Just got to pitch, man. The talent's there. Just got to pitch some more.
But how many true freshmen are thrown or tried to, at a program of this magnitude of throwing in there to try and get in there? It comes because of his, what it took to get him here.
Yeah.
Or with the pros, his spin rate,
I've got a lot of confidence that Schmidt is going to have a very good career here. If you look at Cade Anderson last year, there's a lot of similarities. Anderson was working a lot of midweek games. He pitched some on the weekend. He struggled at times, but the talent was obviously there. Now, Anderson was coming off of an injury, so it's a little bit different, but Anderson has emerged as an ace. I think, you send Schmidt to the Cape this summer. He goes up there. He works some things out. He gets some more innings under his belt. He comes back. He's a little bit more confident. You hope he has a good fall, and next year he's a prominent member of the staff. Right now it's just not there. He just needs to pitch.
Yeah. Don't forget our friends at Total Maintenance, one of South Louisiana's oldest and largest AC and heating company since 1980. Man, if your unit breaks down, now's the time. I mean, same-day service. You'll never sleep hot. That's right. Same-day service today, every day. I mean, same-day service, you will never sleep hot. You call today, you get service today. 480-1000, 480-1000. So when you get into a jam, I mean, support the folks who support us here at Live at Lunch. That's Total Maintenance, one of South Louisiana's oldest and largest AC and heating companies since 1980. Total Maintenance, 480-1000.
Live at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
And especially with a team like Denver coming off of that really hard series, you expect a letdown in game number one. Oklahoma City's supposed to win that.
Andy, what do you make of these three games with a lower seed, all wins on the road to start off?
Well, let me put it to you this way, Jimmy. If you had made a $100 money line parlay wager on Indiana, New York, and Denver, you'd be collecting $8,000.
Wow, 80-1, huh?
Well, yeah, 80-1 basically on a three-team money line parlay. And if you had the guts to include Golden State in there, it'd be even higher. And it's interesting, if you had asked me before the start of the series which one of the four underdogs would have the best chance to pull an upset, I probably would have said, despite the fact that they're playing on 2 days rest for like the fourth or fifth consecutive day, I probably would have said Golden State over Minnesota as opposed to any of the other three. But then again, that would be an obvious selection on my part because even though the line is 6.5, that's still the smallest line of the first four games of the second round.
Which of the three higher seeds are most vulnerable?
I could say Boston only to the extent that they rely so much on the three-point shot. But again, I thought the Knicks are probably the weakest of the four lower-seeded teams in this round. So I'm not so sure. I'd like to say Minnesota possibly because they're going up against the experience of Golden State, but Golden State's lack of a presence in the middle plays into the strength of Minnesota's roster with Gobert and the others. So I'm not sure that any of the four are vulnerable, and in fact they're all, even the three, the Cavs, Celtics, and Thunder that lost, are still better than 3-1 favorites to win the series despite being down 0-1 at home.
Yeah, and they haven't played. I kind of don't include Minnesota Golden State as one of these lopsided matchups. I mean, Golden State, no. We know about them. Is this the first? Is this the first series that they're underdog in like 10 years?
I don't know about 10 years, but certainly in a while. Certainly since they began with their first championship run.
Yeah, that's when was their first?
16, I believe. Was the first one? 15 or 16.
Yeah. It's I believe this is the first series that they're underdog in since in 10 years. So I don't include them in the other. I think that's much more of an even matchup on paper and odds wise as well. These three, I mean, you think that? These three are in a different category to me. Like you said, they all lost the first game, and they're still, minus $3 or more, to win the series.
And keep in mind that those three teams, Boston, Cleveland, Oklahoma City, they all won over 60 games, and I think they all had like 10-game margins over whoever. Probably Houston probably had the fourth best record in the league. I mean, so I can't recall such a great disparity between, say, the top two or three teams and whoever was next, but that's the way those teams have played. And again, we've also learned, as we see in other sports, just make the playoff tournament and anything can happen.
Yeah, there's this is a stunner though, without a doubt. With these games the last couple of days. Indiana though, I think that DeAndre Hunter is the most likely to miss tonight. But, I mean, their second, third, and fourth leading scorers are all questionable, all game-time decisions for tonight's game.
Garland's presence, or absence in this case, was clearly evident in that first game against Indiana. I give the Pacers even more credit, I think, than perhaps a lot of people are. They had that big lead, but to their credit, once Cleveland caught them and actually took a brief lead, Indiana really dominated the last few minutes of that game. That is a very impressive quality that the Pacers showed.
Do you like their chances? Would you be interested in maybe taking a shot at the series price right now on them?
I still think Cleveland's going to win this series. Now, I might be tempted to take Indiana tonight, depending upon who is going to be in the lineup for Cleveland. We don't know. If Garland's a 20-point per game scorer, a little over 20, plus he averages just under 7 assists per game, so he's basically contributing to 34 points per game with the scoring and the assists. So he is critical to play. He's missed, I think, 3 straight games now, including the first game of this series. And then with Mobley and Hunter, if 2 of those 3 miss, I would give Indiana a chance. I think Cleveland wins the game, but I'm not so sure that they're not going to be tested a bit.
Yeah, I think they'll be tested as well. And I think Indiana having a little taste of the conference finals last year.
Yep.
I think that postseason experience is going to help them in what we might see. Charlie, we'd see this with Golden State. I mean, they're a clear exhale right here, huh? I mean, they're not getting Golden State's best effort if they're 1-0, heading to game 2 of Minnesota.
No, absolutely. And look, we don't like to use the term must wins at this point in a series, but if Cleveland you don't want to go back to Indiana down 0-2.
No.
So that doesn't necessarily mean they have to win this game by 8.
It's not a must-win, but it's incredibly difficult to have to win 4 out of 5 with 3 of those games on the road.
Yeah. So, and we've seen some flips. Back in the day with the Houston-Phoenix series where the first team lost the 2 games at home and then won the series. Came back and won. I think it was it Miami, Boston that was like that.
There were a lot of road wins in that series.
There were a lot of road wins in that series. But it's just I just think it's getting a game. I mean, every game is important, and they let one get away, and they're banged up. They're banged up right now, so
that's the key.
That's a key. And look, Indiana, man, when they're going, I mean, when Halliburton is doing his thing where he's creating for his teammates and creating for himself. Miles Turner is not going to. I mean, they can be a headache. There's no doubt, and they have improved a little bit on the defensive end.
If you go back, they struggled in October and November. Since January, I think I saw that they had like the 3rd or 4th best record in the league. So it's not like a surprise. And you mentioned before, as I've mentioned to a lot of people talking about the series, they have the experience from last year. So Indiana is not to be taken lightly. Cleveland was extremely effective. They were the most consistent team in the East from start to finish, much like Oklahoma City was from start to finish of the season in the West. But the playoffs are a different game, and I think all 3 of these home teams, maybe they were a little rusty because they clinched early. It's certainly in the case of OKC and Boston. But maybe they took the opponents a little bit lightly, especially Boston, who got out to that 20-point lead, and they have owned the Knicks over the past several years. And I think that's one of the more astonishing things that we saw out of the Knicks. But then again, look back and saw what they did with that 21-0 run against Detroit in the opener. So even though I think the Knicks are weak, they have shown an ability at times to play well above their roster level.
Halliburton was excellent, but, I mean, you look at this box score, Charlie. We look at assist-to-turnover ratio for point guards. What's a good assist-to-turnover ratio?
4-1, 3-1.
How about 13-1?
That's better.
I mean, you gotta put more pressure on Halliburton. And is that one of Garland's guards? Is he matched up with him? I don't know. I mean, Mitchell.
He should be.
Mitchell's got to do his part as well. But that's way too freedom of motion. In the playoffs, you can't allow 13-1. No, I mean that's part Halliburton being very good, and that's part them not putting enough defensive pressure on him.
Yeah, I mean, 13-1 is extreme on both ends. To have 13, assists and just one turnover. If it's a little bit more like 8-4 or something, that's a little bit more reasonable. 13-1 is extreme on both ends, and yeah, that is an issue that Cleveland's going to have to address. And again, you want to see who plays tonight for Cleveland, but certainly you could be concerned, and I think that I would think the best case scenario is to assume, like you said, that maybe at least one, possibly two of them will play. So if you like Indiana, you may want to grab the points now.
Joker had the second most assists in the regular season behind Halliburton. His assist-to-turnover ratio was just a little over 3-1. Just to give you an idea.
Wow. Joker's was for the regular season.
For the regular season, yeah.
Wow.
Little over 3-1.
And look, I mean, it's two-way street. I mean, you hit 60% from three in the first half. They're going to win the game. They're capable of that. They showed us that, just last game. But also the Cavaliers. And, I mean, you tell me, Andy, is that more the Cavaliers, not playing better defense, or Indiana just being that they can get that hot?
I think it was a combination of both. As I mentioned, I think Garland's absence was clearly felt by Cleveland in the playoffs. It didn't matter much, in the game in the series against Miami when I missed, I think, the last two games. But Indiana, as I say, they've been a very hard. Indiana right now in the NBA is like the St. Louis Blues in the NHL, who played extremely well down the stretch, and we saw them pull that upset over Winnipeg.
Almost.
Winnipeg end up, almost in the double overtime win. So, you're playing well at the end of the season, and you're healthy like Indiana is. They can be a force, and again, as we mentioned, the experience from last year going up against the eventual champion Celtics, very impressive.
Did you have the bad beat or the unbelievable win in those Game 7s in the hockey?
I had neither. I did not play either of those games. I got a couple of profits earlier in that series. If I can have a net +2 in a series, that's usually when I'll be satisfied, and that was the case. Both of those.
What do you make of these series right now?
The Jets are favored. They were the number one. I had Toronto last night as a small home dog, and I'm on the Capitals tonight as a small home dog in their series. As far as the Golden Knights go, they are very heavily priced. I'm not so sure that they deserve to be that big of a price in their series. As far as the Winnipeg series goes, I still like Winnipeg. I think they got tested by a very spunky Blues team, but I said before, or my thoughts were, and my wager was, and I played the exact at Circa, Winnipeg against Toronto.
Yeah, that actually some places, a lot of places outside of Las Vegas, the Golden Knights are underdogs in the series.
Yeah.
In that one.
They're small favorite here.
Yeah,
and understandably so.
I can hear Colucci all the way from Las Vegas right now saying he hates Edmonton's style of play. He doesn't think it's conducive to winning in playoff hockey. But they pulled it out and managed to get by the Kings in the first round. Here they are, and they're just a star team. They're a glamour team. A lot of offense, and look, they made it to Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Finals last year.
The four most exciting words in sports are hockey, Game 7, overtime.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Not bad. Because hockey ends in a split second. In baseball, you can see a game-winning hit about to fall in, and you know that it's going to end the game. In football, you can see, like in overtime, a play that's going to win, or more often, a field goal. In hockey, it is bang, bang. You have to recognize it, and then you see what's happening. It's the most exciting thing. I was at the game against Minnesota last Tuesday night that nearly ended in regulation when a goal was waved off, and then the Knights win in overtime. It's a tremendous experience, playoff hockey.
Very good, Andy. Any other picks, baseball, anything else before we let you go, buddy?
I like the Phillies tonight on the road against Tampa Bay. They're playing a little bit better. That weird game the other day. I kind of like San Diego with Michael King going up against his former team in the Yankees. King has been pitching very well. He pitched very well last year, and he started off this year very well. Yankees, and we saw it last night against the bullpen and Williams, especially the expected closer, having a great deal of trouble the way that the Yankees lost that game last night. So I'm on San Diego tonight, and I'm also on Philadelphia.
Williams' career ERA coming from Milwaukee in 6 seasons was under 2. It's over 10. I know we're only a month into the season, but still, wow.
I wonder if he's having the same issue playing in New York as Diaz had in his first season with the Mets as closer.
Aaron Nola, wasn't just the wind in Chicago, that helped him kind of get back on track. But he got his first win of the season last time out against Arizona, and
he's had a few good efforts in a row after an absolutely horrible start.
Yeah, 8 strikeouts, only 1 walk against Arizona in the win there, this first win. So maybe he can get things going as well. He's pitched a lot of innings over the years. Thank you, Andy. We appreciate it. Follow Andy Isko on Twitter at VegasAndy711. Thank you, buddy. Don't forget our friends over at Relief Windows. Relief Windows for windows, doors, siding, shutters. Windows like vinyl windows, storm impact windows, wood windows. View all of our windows at reliefwindows.com. And you know what? If your homeowners association requires wood windows like mine, I sure wish I knew about these gelled windows from Relief Windows at the original construction of my home. Wooden windows combine the beauty of real wood and high-tech energy efficiency features for all climate zones, including these extreme weather conditions in South Louisiana. Our gelled windows are built by RLS, 20-year general warranty and lifetime limited warranty against rotten termites, providing years of beauty and minimal maintenance. They're functional. They look great. Check them out. The wood windows, the RLS gelled windows from Relief Windows.
Live at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Ott and Yanni from Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee Drive on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Still waiting on word on LSU and Grambling tonight as we watch the skies darken here at Mike Anderson. And the wind's starting to blow a little bit. I'm no weatherman, Jimmy, but doesn't look great for later today. So we'll keep you up with that. First class, second class, no class coming up here at the top of the hour. Did you hear that there is a Colorado fan that is suing the NFL for emotional distress? Because Shedeur Sanders dropped to the 5th round of the ground. This looks this looks like a say, and I'm just getting word that the game
it's a joke.
The game has been canceled. Okay, the game has been canceled. I'm assuming this is a joke, but it's all over Twitter right now, so I thought I would mention it. Okay, just got the official word. The game between LSU and Grambling has been called off. So. Grambling
will be like this for a few days, huh?
Yeah, it's the forecast isn't great coming up, so likely not going to get this thing rescheduled with the regular season coming to an end. Hour number 2 straight ahead here at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I want a seat in first class where I was booked and ticketed over a month ago.
Second class.
No man should be subjected to the indignity of being labeled or treated like a second-class citizen.
And no class.
Like I become like school on Sunday. No class. I'll tell you what then. Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
First class, second class, and no class. Brought to you by Supreme Rice. Buy local with Louisiana-based Supreme Rice since 1936.
All right, back here at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch. Again, the impending weather has called off LSU and Grambling for tonight. First class today. Jimmy, let's hear it for interim coaches. I was wrong. I thought the Denver Nuggets were nuts going into the final week of the regular season to run off Mike Malone, who they'd won a title with, and put an interim coach in, even one that's qualified like David Adelman is, to take over, change everything up that late in the game. Never been done in the NBA. Well, shows you what I know. They won their last regular season games. They won the most hotly contested of the first-round series, and last night they took Game 1 in OKC. So David Adelman is doing just fine. How about up in Starkville, Justin Parker? Now, Chris Lamanis won just a few years ago the only national championship in the history of Mississippi State. And last week he got fired.
That's crazy.
Okay. It's not like they've got a trophy case the size of, Mount Rushmore or anything. But he won the national championship. And look, they haven't been good since. And they weren't good this year. They were 7-14 when they fired him. How about Justin Parker? His first series at the Dude this weekend, they sweep Kentucky. And they sweep them in pretty impressive fashion. They ruled them in the first game. They hit a walk-off in the second game. And on Sunday, they beat Ben Cleaver, the Slim Reaper, who's been really, really good for Kentucky on Sundays. Kentucky pitches backwards. Cleaver's their best pitcher. They throw him on Sundays. But they got to him for 4 runs in 5 1/3 innings, and they took the final game of this series. So good job for Justin Parker. Interim coaches where it worked. Sometimes it gives you a little bit of a spark. Sometimes the guys, kind of just play out the string. At least in these two situations, worked out. I don't know if it's going to work out long term for either one of them.
It's a little premature to start,
Yeah, but I had to do the segment today, so.
That's more of a second class, Charlie.
True.
Because they've been good.
But I had other things for second class.
Okay, because they've been good, but they've been.
You see on my little sheet here, it started out in second class, and I put it in first class because I have other things for second class.
Hey, I'm less than 100%. So
I got you.
I wanted to you get a pass.
I wanted to do one other thing for first class today because this is the 27th anniversary today of the greatest game I've ever seen pitched. And Kerry Wood against the Houston Astros 27 years ago threw a 1-hit, no-walk, 20 strikeout game against the Astros at Wrigley Field. I actually watched this game, and it's not often that I would be in a position, this was an afternoon start, like a 1:30 start or something like that, where I'd be in position to watch an entire Major League Baseball game on a weekday afternoon. But at the time, we were both working, I was working at 1300, and we were an Astros affiliate. And I was doing afternoons, and the game was going to bleed into my show, so I had to watch the game to see when it ended, to see when we were going to start the show. So I ended up watching almost all of this thing. And it was the damnedest thing that I've ever seen in my life. Kerry Wood looked like at times he was throwing a wiffle ball up there. He was fanning people. And that was a really good Astros team. They led the league in on-base percentage that year. They were a good hitting team. They had 4 guys hit over 300 in that season. It was a playoff team for the Astros.
I thought it was before they kind of they were still in their rebuilding rut.
No, they were a playoff team that year, and Biggio and Bagwell were in that lineup, but they also had other guys.
What year is that, Charlie?
1998. The other thing, this was something else that I had forgotten about this game. This was only Kerry Wood's 5th career start. His numbers coming into that game, now he was a very highly touted young prospect at the time, but it was only his 5th start. He had an ERA of 5.89 in the first 4 starts of his career going into that game. He'd given up 12 walks in 18 innings, 18 1/3 innings. So this performance was one of the greats. And
like Paul Skeens, they probably wouldn't. Wood was. Are they limited Skeens this year on his pitches?
No, not really. He's gone over 100 a couple times. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what kind of pitch count he went into this game on. Probably nothing. But he was just absolutely dealing the one
98, Charlie?
98.
They won 102 games.
Yeah, they were a playoff team. I think that's the year
they
lost.
Team's one thing, 102 games.
I think they lost to the Padres that year. That was the year Kevin Brown couldn't be touched, and he won 2 games in that short series against Randy Johnson, who they rented that year for the last half of the season. And he came into the game with awful stats and just absolutely blew Houston away that day.
How many pitches did he throw in that game?
Probably. You know what? I was looking for that, and I couldn't find it. Probably, gosh, if I had to guess without looking, probably somewhere around 120, to get that many.
Yeah, we were doing shows at 1,300 at the time. I remember going in and doing that show that evening.
That was one for the books. So 27 years ago today, Kerry Wood.
Yeah, because it ended right in the middle of my show.
Yep. The second class, good with a chance to be great. LSU softball starts the SEC tournament tomorrow. They are the 8th seed against the 9th seed against Mississippi State, the 8th seed. It's just been tough for Beth Torina's team to get over the hump. Somebody asked me about her the other day. I said, they're always good, They're never bad, but they've never been great either. She's been here since 2012, and every year they're in the postseason. Every year they have a really nice record. Every year they get into a regional. A lot of these years they've gotten into a super regional 2 of the last 4 years. She's been in the College World Series 3 times, but they've never won the conference. And the last 5 years they've finished 6th, 5th, and now this year 9th. The SEC is the best softball conference by far. We'll see. Can they get on a run in the postseason? I would hope so. They'll probably host again. Even 9th place in the SEC is still good enough to get you some home games in the regional. But they start tomorrow. The tournament is at Georgia this year. They play Mississippi State in the first game. And before we do this segment again next week, the NBA Draft Lottery will be taking place next Monday night. The Pelicans have the 4th best chance to get the number 1 pick. They have a 12.5% chance to get the first pick. They're behind Utah, Washington, and Charlotte. They have a 48.1% chance to get a top 4 pick. Look, I'd love to have Cooper Flagg. That would be phenomenal, but just don't drop out of, you got almost a 50-50 chance to stay in the top 4. The top 4 players, Flagg, the 2 kids from Rutgers, and Edgecombe from Baylor, those are probably going to be your top 4 picks, regardless of who wins this thing. So just hope, hey, look, obviously hope for the best. Hope that you get the number 1 pick, but also hope don't drop out of that top 4. There seems to be a consensus among the scouts that is where the drop-off is. After the top 4 picks, there's a drop-off to the next groups. That's second class. Good with a chance to be great. No class. We'll be kind of waiting on this number for a little bit. We talk about the transfer portal. SEC basketball, Jimmy, with the late portal kind of wrapping up here, pretty much everybody with maybe 1 or 2 little late ads has their roster set for the upcoming college basketball season. What is the average number of returning players for Southeastern Conference teams next year? It's all 16. What is the average number of players they have coming back from this year's team to next year's team?
Just on the roster.
Yeah, just on the roster. 13 scholarships. How many? What's
4?
You're high. It's 3. 3 players is the average.
No, I wasn't trying to shoot low.
I know you weren't. The Missouri has the highest with 7. Mm-hmm. Florida, who won the national championship, has 6. Nobody else in the league has more than
6 coming back. Wow.
Florida does have 6 coming back. A couple of those guys were on the bench, but they do have 6 coming back. 3 teams in the league bring back nobody. Now, A&M had a coaching change, so you
you make your coaching change, yeah.
But the other 2, you said, well, if you win, that take care of it. One of them's Auburn. They were pretty good last year, weren't they?
They were great.
They were number 1 for a lot of and nobody coming back. Bruce Pearl knows what he's doing, right? Bruce Pearl's been in the game a while. They're funding that program.
They're going to be good.
I mean, and look, they've replaced them. They've got all these kids coming in that who are all good. They got the leading scorer from Central Florida coming in. They got a double-figure guy coming in from Mississippi State. They got the leading scorer from Lincoln Memorial, which I thought was a monument in Washington, but apparently is a college somewhere. So they got guys coming in, and they've got a very good recruiting class. They got 3 kids in the top 100. But off of guys from last year, none. Nobody expected to come back. The average is 3.3 players. The other team, by the way, is Georgia, that has nobody coming back and had to completely rebuild the roster. And this was also something that Scott Drew had to deal with at Baylor. He had no players on the roster as recently as a month ago. So I put it in no class just because I don't think this was ever the way. These college resumes are reading like minor league baseball players. And he went to rookie ball in St. Lucia, and then at St. Lucie, and then he went to Binghamton, and he played 50 games for Norfolk, and then he got called up to the Yankees, and then he got traded to the Reds, who sent him down to Louisville. That's what these college basketball and football players too. I mean, he started off at Gardner-Webb, and then he moved up to Troy, and then he played a season at Memphis, and then 2 years at Central Florida, and I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe I'm trying not to be too old curmudgeon about this. What did I tell you? Go to graduate school somewhere you went different than you went to undergrad, so you experienced something different. But I don't know. I don't think it's good for the kids in a lot of these cases. We did the numbers on how many transfer portal kids don't get another scholarship. That number is in the 40+% range. And I don't think that college was intended to be a 6 or 7 year athletic experience. Academics is different. Some of us it took longer. But for the athletic experience, I don't think you're supposed to play for 5 teams. I don't think you're supposed to play for 4 teams. I don't think you're supposed to be in college playing sports for 7 years. I mean, every now and then I guess there's some extraordinary circumstances with some freakish injuries, but this is the norm now. And when you see it put on paper, you're like, well, just win. No. Well, go get an experienced coach. No. The most experienced coaches, some of the most successful programs, Auburn #1, Baylor, national champions 3 years ago, they're not immune either. So I don't know. It's something that I wish would be more regulated. I'm not saying we got to go back to the old days where you sit out a year, but I think when they started this thing, it was you got one free transfer. You got one transfer without being restricted, and after that there was some disincentive.
I think a lot of people would like that to come back, and it's not just guys. It's some people of impact, some people of influence. I think that might have a chance.
And
I mean, it's just.
I'm hopeful that there's some kind of teach a little perseverance, and this is driving the coaches crazy because they got to tiptoe around these kids. I mean, if you ever say anything that upsets them,
Auburn officially has a half.
A half?
Yeah. Tom Pettiford's 50-50 on coming back.
Okay, well.
There's a half. Come on.
I'll give him.
Thank you, Jeff G.
I'm sorry. No, it's 3.37 then on things. So, I don't know. When you see the numbers put into place like that and you assume, well, this is, problems that bad programs have. No, this is problems that everybody, including the team that spent a lot of last season
this is
number
the best.
one.
This is the best conference in college basketball. It's not even close. Historical season. And it's just and you got the winner. I mean, Auburn. I mean, they didn't finish as strong maybe as they would like to, but man, they're right there, and they had a lead in the second half against the national champions in the semifinals. So no, if this is happening to this league, what do you think the headache the other programs are doing? The other 340 teams.
Yeah, I didn't run the numbers on say Coosa. Or the Mountain West.
You want a headache?
Yeah.
Go ask the Tulane coach.
This is for schools that have money.
I'm well aware.
They're on television. They're really good. The national champion came out of this conference, and they can't keep guys. So, what chance do you have if you're at St. Bonaventure? Even if you do have Woj running the thing.
No. What? I mean, that's. But it doesn't. I mean, I was one off. I mean, and that's. Charlie, until they put a limit on it, as far as it,
and I don't think they can.
I don't know how you're gonna put the genie back in the bottle, man. The toothpaste back in the tube. I mean, I just don't know how you're gonna do it.
The one way is when the players become employees, and then you have a union, a collective bargaining agreement. Because contracts don't tell me about contracts. The kid from Baylor cured me of saying, "Well, contracts will fix this." Not really. The kid from Baylor, and his name's escaping me right now, had a $1 million guarantee from Baylor to go back there last year. Apparently, according to them, he had signed a contract, went on vacation, went to Provo.
He had a guarantee. What was his penalty?
Nothing. Well, I mean, they can sue him, but
that's a weak contract.
And maybe they will sue him. I don't know. But he went to BYU and signed one for $3 million. So the contract at Baylor.
But what was his penalty for getting out of the contract?
And that's what I'm telling you.
If you could put that in the contract, he owes it, Jack.
Well, maybe.
And if he gets $1 million more, well, he's gonna have to pay whatever his penalty is on this.
And maybe BYU's willing to pay whatever his legal fees would be if Baylor sues him, gets the $1 million back. Maybe BYU gives it to him.
They already paid him?
No, they hadn't paid him yet.
No, we talked about you talked about $1 million. That's a contract, but it's a very player-friendly contract. You're seeing the same thing as we saw with these contracts with the coaches. Okay, they're very weak to the school.
Right. If you were Baylor, what would you do?
Very weak to the school.
If you were Baylor, what would you do? Would you sue him? They're going to use that against you in recruiting. They're going to.
I don't know what the contract says, Charlie. You keep talking about a contract.
It's $1 million bucks. I
don't know the
legalese.
He was guaranteed $1 million if he goes there.
Yeah.
What's the penalty if he doesn't? If he doesn't go? If he leaves for another school?
The way I read it, sue me. That's the way I read it. Now I could be
but
wrong.
You don't know. We don't know.
I don't know what the contract says.
And knowing how they're begging these kids to come, I would say little to nothing.
No, probably not. First class, second class, no class, brought to you by Supreme Rice, parboiled rice, a favorite over at the Ott Family House. You can get it at Rouse's, at Walmart, all your AG food stores, and, of course, Supreme Rice, part of the Climate Smart program, ensuring water conservation and reducing methane emissions. You can see the packaging, the Climate Smart logo on all Supreme Rice brands. Since the 1930s, down in Crowley in southwest Louisiana, all of our Supreme Rice grown, milled, and processed in Louisiana. So you're helping out our Louisiana farmers. You're getting a delicious product, whether it's the parboil that Jimmy likes the best, the jasmine, the long grain, the medium grain, or the brown rice. Pick up Supreme Rice, and you can save some money, too, whenever you head out to buy your rice. Great for etouffees, for gumbos, for jambalayas. Make it Supreme Rice. For more information and great recipes, go to the website at supremerice.com. Live at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Ott and Yanni from Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee Drive on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Today's show brought to you in part by Coastal Capital Advisors, because when it comes to retirement, there are no two situations exactly alike. Coastal Capital Advisors will tailor a plan for your family, no matter what your age or your financial situation. They'll work with you from Coastal Capital Advisors and build a lifetime relationship, because that's exactly what they have done with me. For more information, contact Philip Fontenot and his staff, 337-981-1376, or online, it's coastalcapitaladv.com. Advisory services provided by New Age Advisors, member FINRA SIPC. And now on to one of my favorite topics, scheduling. Yes. Notre Dame and Clemson have announced a 12-year scheduling agreement. This is fascinating to me on a number of levels. Okay, first of all, anytime we get more good college football and less games against, Kent State, I'm all for it. So right off the bat, if you tell me that Clemson and Notre Dame are going to play every year, I'm all for it. The second thing is that, hang on. Notre Dame's got a conference, loosely, conference alignment with the ACC in football. So these teams were going to play each other anyway.
Well, not every year.
Well, right. They were going to play conference games in 27, 28, 31, 34, and 37. Those dates will be conference games. The other games in this will not be conference games. Remember when we get the big SEC scheduling fiasco? If Tennessee and Alabama want to play each other so damn bad, play each other in a non-conference game, which, of course, they never did. But Clemson and Notre Dame are actually saying that, we're going to play every year for 12 years. Some years it's going to be a conference game. Some years
Charlie,
it's not going to be a conference game.
Alabama and Tennessee play each other every year. They don't have to schedule non-conference.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
But that was kind of the point that they didn't have to. So I'm fine with that. Okay, I'll make it a point to go look and see if the little asterisks there, conference game or not conference game. I just want more good football. This is better than Clemson playing the Citadel. So I'm fine with that. Look, Notre Dame gets preferential treatment with this conference schedule, and we've already, been up that hill and died on it, so that's over. If it's going to happen anyway, give me another good matchup between two teams of this caliber. But here's what I find interesting. Clemson already plays South Carolina in a rivalry game. They've got games, obviously, this year against LSU and next year against LSU. They've got 4 future games against Georgia between now and 2033, and they've got 2 games in the mid-2030s against Oklahoma, meaning that if all this holds, and if the SEC goes to 9 games in the conference schedule, some of this may not hold, but if the conference this scheduling holds, there will be years that Clemson's 3 non-conference games will be South Carolina, some version of Georgia or Oklahoma, and Notre Dame. That's isn't that what we always wanted? I mean, doesn't this, if somebody in your conference sucks, okay, I can't help it if Wake Forest isn't any good or Virginia's
the whole
bad.
conference sucks.
Okay, but
okay.
So
that's where we are.
You're in that conference, but if you're scheduling out of conference like that, well,
so you got eight conference games, and Charlie, they're just that's what this is all about. I mean, there's just there's no big. Is SMU, maybe, could they have a chance to be pretty good? Yeah, they can. Okay,
because they have a lot of money behind them.
But are they Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, LSU? No. Okay, I mean, Stanford, when they're going to be good? Good luck.
It would be tough.
Syracuse, Virginia, Wake Forest, Virginia Tech, Pitt. I mean, NC State, North Carolina. Okay, Belichick's there with his girlfriend. Miami,
his girlfriend's running the show there. They're not going to be good.
This is awful, man.
The real problem that they have is that the heavyweights are not quite as heavy as they once were. Florida State, Miami. Now Miami had a good year last year, and Florida State 2 years ago, but they are not the juggernauts that they were in the 80s and 90s. How long have we been saying that
Miami's not as good as they were? We've been talking about 35 years now.
I think it's quite that long, but yeah.
I mean, whatever. It's been a long time we've been talking. I mean, they're going to be limited. They got nobody. You got to be really good for people to go to their games. They don't even go to the games.
Well, a lot of times they didn't go to the games back when they were really good. I think there's some money down there. If you get the right coach in place, I think Miami can be not what they were at the height of the U, but better than what they've been. Can we split the difference at least? They could be a top 20 team.
Oh, they could be a top 20. They were a top 20 team this year.
Yeah. So I think that's part of the problem. But Clemson's doing something here, and this is two reasons. Number one, it is to make up for.
They're not doing this if it was. What year was it that Mississippi State played Georgia Tech? I think it was the first year of the committee. Mississippi State.
Oh,
because it was a New Year's Day bowl.
15.
They got drilled, but they made it to that bowl. Okay. That year, the ACC might have been the best conference in college football. They're not doing this back in that era.
No,
they're not doing it.
But okay, so you're beefing up your schedule, which we like. Okay, and it's because of the weakness of your conference. But there's another reason. Remember the lawsuit that Clemson and Florida State brought against the ACC to get out of their grant of rights, to kind of grant them free agency. And the league came back, and to get the suit thrown out, they agreed to uneven revenue sharing in the ACC. The uneven revenue sharing was based on what? In one part, television ratings. Okay?
Oh.
If you have the highest television ratings, you get more money. Now, who had the highest? This is sort of a trick question. Who had the highest television ratings in the ACC last year? Overall, for the entire season.
Miami.
That would be the guess, but it's not right. It's Georgia Tech. And the reason is because they got the audience all to themselves on opening weekend when they played Florida State, and they were the only game going. And then their game against Georgia, it went to triple overtime or whatever it was.
Friday
night.
Yeah, Black Friday night.
Basically a standalone game. And it was a great game, and Georgia was good and all that stuff. So it was Georgia Tech last year. Clemson is going to, if you play a game against South Carolina, one against either LSU, Georgia, or Oklahoma, and another one against Notre Dame, you are going to smoke everybody in the TV ratings, and you're going to get more money because of it.
Very good.
Now, there's a risk because this is going to hurt your chances as far as making the college football playoff, and there's certainly a lot of money in that. But this is crazy like a fox what Clemson is doing here. They're doing everything they can to guarantee that they've got the top television rating in the league, and therefore the most money.
We get on the season ticket holders may for keep coming back no matter what, but finally something was done to, I mean, you at least the eyeballs, at least people turned on their TVs, determines, what their, forces the hand that they've got to, they've got to. Nobody's going to watch Rent-A-Wins. Thank God. It shouldn't even be on.
I would love it if they put this television rating thing across the board. This would be great. Somebody asked me, said, well, we're going to go to Clemson this year. They're going to come back here. They're going to screw us like Texas did and Arizona State and Virginia Tech and all of that. After this
is
Clemson wants to play LSU. They want to play LSU so bad because they know there's going to be a ton of Nussmeier and Klubnik, two of the top returning quarterbacks in college football this year. That game's going to draw a huge rating. I mean, I know it's a big opening weekend. You got the Ohio State-Texas game, and you got Alabama-Florida State, but this is going to draw a huge rating, and it's going to draw a huge rating next year, even without those two quarterbacks when they come back to Tiger Stadium.
1 or 2.
Clemson wants to play this
week
thing.
1, right?
Yeah,
Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
So you usually have about 3 to 4 really good games that day, and they're all staggered out.
Yeah.
Like this past year, you had Georgia, Clemson start off, and then you had Texas A&M, Notre Dame.
Oh, you went
was
from
at night.
you went from Friday all the way to Monday, right?
No, this is Saturday.
Yeah, I know, but you had.
I know, but we're talking about the Saturday.
The Saturday games,
The Saturday. I mean, no, when you have Sunday and Monday, Charlie, you have no competition. But who else is on? You said Ohio State and Texas.
Texas, yeah, that'll be.
Do we have the times on these games yet?
I do not. No, we don't.
Okay,
but I would think that they would be staggered.
I would think that they wouldn't put.
The SEC's got a stakeholder in all three of these games: Alabama, Florida State, LSU, Clemson, and Texas, Ohio State. They're not going to put them up.
Clemson's a home team.
Yeah, but I think
so
that they probably. ESPN's also got to deal with the ACC.
Okay, that's right.
They're not going to put these games up against each other.
No.
So yeah, you're going to get a huge draw on this weekend.
But Fox controls Ohio State, huh?
Well, that game is at the Shoe. You're right.
So they may play that thing at 11.
Might.
They might play it at night.
Let them.
I mean,
I'll certainly hope this LSU Clemson game's at night. Don't you?
Yeah, I'd rather it not be up against Texas, Ohio State, and I don't think it will be. And maybe Texas, Ohio State, Texas might be.
Play it at 11 o'clock. That's when they like to play. That's fine.
They've also played some. I think at this time of the year,
we've seen them play at night too.
They probably. I would be surprised if they don't play it at night.
I hope we get to see.
Who did the Oregon Ohio State game this year? Regular season was Fox.
Yeah.
That was at night.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Well, kudos to Clemson. We're getting more good college football, so I'm fine with it.
Yes, I mean, finally something to motivate to schedule better, and ratings dependent. Oh, this only helps. It helps the consumer.
Earn you keep.
No, there's no doubt about that. So don't forget our friends over at Workbox. My buddy Martin Padial and the Workbox crew has been doing things for quite some time. You can check everything out on their website at workboxllc.com. So they can handle all of your movable storage needs. And the great thing about getting those residential units for storage and for moving is because you can put it in your driveway for, I don't know, for 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, whatever it is, and take your time. Load it at your own pace instead of getting a moving van for 1 day and loading it up and then bringing it over and loading it. And so both when your existing home and your new home, you can kind of do it at your own pace. Now, the new neighborhood is going to not want that unit in there forever, but you're going to have to do it. So anyway, but they can handle all of your movable storage needs. And those units come in 8x8, 8x10, 8x20, even 8x40 feet. Customized in all different ways. We talk about it all the time. Again, Workbox, the 8x8 and 8x10 for limited space situations. 8x20 give you more storage space without taking up unnecessary space. And then the 8x40, the largest option for jobs requiring a lot more space. Workbox and Workbox LLC, 343-4886, 343-4886.
Live at Mike Anderson's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Lunch with Ott and Yanni from Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee Drive on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back here at Mike Anderson's live at lunch. We're also brought to you by the Thibodaux store, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux. Cajun cookware available right now on the website for free delivery.
Charlie, you don't give Mom cookware.
No, but you can still buy it.
I know, but this is Mother's Week, Charlie.
Well, I was getting to that.
Rosie's Playbook. I would appreciate if you have your mother on your mind for Mother's Day week, Charlie.
I do. There's really nice furniture.
Me and Rosie are cahoots
Some
on
nice,
you, okay?
night Josie. But
Josie, I'm
sorry.
I'm not seeing Miss Josie.
Yeah,
Josie's
there's some
playbook.
very
Sorry.
nice Cypress furniture. The rocking
Very
chairs,
nice.
The rocking chairs, the benches,
Yes.
the gliders, the swings. You can get this at either Pierpont store or the Thibodeau store, and it's unique. Some of this stuff you're not going to be able to get anywhere else.
All Cypress.
All Cypress.
I mean, it looks great.
It does. It's fantastic looking.
South Louisiana. You got your porch. You got the oak tree in the back.
patio.
Whatever, kind of.
It's a great gift for
Patio.
Mother's Day. For Father's Day, we got that right around the corner.
We'll get to them later.
Cypress furniture.
It's Mother's Day week.
Yes, it is. You get Mom a grill. You going to work the grill? You can buy a grill there too.
I bought one from there. Yes, I will.
You did. You bought the big green egg cooker. Did you get all the big green egg cooking accessories with it?
I got a lot of them.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to get all of them. I got a lot.
You get your crawfish spoon.
I got my crawfish spoon.
You got your crawfish spoon.
Basically, it's a net that you can get out a perfect size for about a tray of crawfish. Maybe 3-4 pounds, something like that, and you can take it out. So not everybody likes them as spicy as you do. So, but man, you don't want to cook, do all that at home and not have those crawfish spicy like you like. Some women and children want them a certain way. That's no problem. Boom. Here's your taste one. Yes, you like it? Well, here's your tray. Leave the rest in here so we can get them nice and spicy. That's all.
At the Thibodeau store, grills, fishing equipment, power tools, hand tools, and a whole lot more. Online, it's doitbest.com/Thibodeau store.
I heard since Sam paid for the big water slide that you getting the Cypress furniture.
I am. He gets to cook, though. He's a better cook than me. He gets to cook this
Well,
Sunday.
he tries to do it, Charlie.
He does. He's worked at his craft.
Yes.
You know what? Would we have seen in the last 5, 6, 7 years, basketball coaches that we thought were in real trouble come out on the other end, healthy, wealthy, and smelling like a rose. We remember back when Bruce Pearl refused to meet with the Auburn administration, said, "I'm not talking to you guys. Well, you broke the rules. We got to. No, I ain't talking to anybody. Here's my lawyer's number. Call
Coach,
him."
we are conducting our own campus internal investigation.
Do whatever you want. I'm
not cooperating.
Yeah, I'm not talking to you. Here's my lawyer's number. Now, this is somebody he works for. Call my lawyer. I ain't talking to you. Okay. How did it work out for him? He has no players right now.
He has a half a player. A lifetime contract and setting up his son, Steven, I believe, to is basically a coach in waiting.
Bill Self, level 1 and level 2 violations up and down. Coach Self, what have you to say for yourself? I'm sorry, I'm signing my lifetime contract. I don't have time to talk to you either. That's just two examples. Last fall, I would say I would have given Todd Golden, one chance in 10 of keeping his job when that story came out that he had sent those lewd text messages to whoever.
Well, the reason being, texts are kind of black and white, huh?
And there were students. That's a no-no.
Yeah.
And he's married. That's another no-no.
Yes.
I don't know if it was a university-issued phone, but they have access to all of those records.
Well,
there
have been plenty of coaches over time that have managed to survive wrongdoings in their marriage.
Right.
But to students,
that's a bigger problem. Don't screw up your university-issued phone with your bat phone. That will cause you problems. Just ask Hugh Freeze. I thought he was in real trouble to lose his job. Not only did he not lose his job, Florida won the national championship, and today Todd Golden signed a 6-year, $40.5 million contract extension that makes him a top 5 highest paid coach in college basketball at $6.75 million annually. Golden is 38, I think, 38, 39,
he's
something like that.
He's real young.
He's making back. Well, It's easy to give him the.
He's 39.
He's been cleared, at least cleared enough to keep his job of whatever wrongdoing there was at Florida.
Oh, and let me say, I'm sure there's a pretty strict code of contact on this. I mean, it's either had to stop or it's I mean.
Yeah, you can't.
I mean, he could
doing
no.
this.
Okay. I
Okay.
mean, it's been no. So, which is obvious, but
do you think he's a great basketball coach?
no.
I mean, I think he's a good basketball coach. I don't know that.
No.
And I would sign into a contract essentially if he just won a national championship. I don't have a problem with the contract if he's cleared of all the other stuff. I don't know if he's a great college basketball coach, but he's a national champion. He's 39 years old. You gotta sign him.
How would you say? How would? We didn't think so, but we found out he had the best roster, huh?
Did
Better
he have
than
the? No, I can't say he had the best roster because Duke's got the number one pick
He
in
had
the
a better
draft
roster than Auburn?
and another lottery pick.
To me, he did.
I thought it was comparable to Auburn. I thought it was close. I'd have to say Duke had the better roster. If you've got two lottery picks and one of them's the number one pick in the draft, that's a better roster.
Okay, all right. How did the projected second and third picks do?
They didn't even make the tournament.
Okay, so I mean, it doesn't all. I mean,
we're talking about roster. We're talking about talent on the roster. We're not talking about the results. You're just saying, do you have the better roster?
I know, but that's a projection at the next level. I mean, when Cooper Flagg is great, but we've seen this over and over. Man, those kids are freshmen, and he should be a high school senior.
If he didn't have the best roster, he had a top 5 roster. Okay, so I mean, we're splitting hairs about whether or not he was better than Duke or Auburn.
Did he have a better roster than Houston? I think that's actually a little closer to
it's really
Auburn.
close.
I thought Auburn was a little too. I don't know.
Houston just had a really old, really experienced, really physical roster. They
but this year they had 3 guys shooting 40% threes.
And those aren't necessarily, if you're talking about just pure talent level, or they're all going to be lottery picks like the Duke guys know. But as a college basketball roster, man, they were good. I thought they were going to win it. I really
No,
did.
that's what we're talking about. We're not.
Are we talking about talent, or are we talking about...
I'm talking about college talent. College
then it's right there.
Who are the best players? I'm not projecting because, this year, the first pick, the projected player to be the best player in the NBA was probably also the best player in college basketball. Cooper Flagg was the best college player to me.
No, I won't. No, no argument there.
Okay. But it's somewhat different. These guys are, like your boy Baker Mazzaro. I mean, he's 23, 24 years old, Charlie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to hurt him. He's already, he might be maxed out or close to it.
Oh, the NBA guys hate that.
Yes,
they won't draft you when you're like 14 years old.
Well, I mean, there's a reason for it. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's not just them. That's baseball. That's football. That's all of them.
Baseball.
They age. They age. They hate it. Just the Saints like age.
Well, when I'm trying to replace my quarterback, that's a little bit different.
Is it?
Yeah.
Who's the last quarterback that age that came out? He's a Heisman Trophy winner. He was good in college. How'd he do?
Winky?
Yeah.
Not well.
No.
Not well. They didn't have to take this guy in the first round, though. Staubach started at 26.
Winky went
his rookie year.
It was the same era.
Yeah.
Similar era.
Similar. It's been 4 years in the Navy. It's not like playing minor league baseball.
Staubach, yes. I mean, sure. I think Houston, Duke, and Florida had it with Auburn just right behind. They're really, right behind him. But I've also seen him. Texas Tech didn't have the roster those teams had, and I saw a Texas Tech guy, completely outcoach him, and should have beat him. But his team bailed him out. The clutch. I mean, he had 4 straight threes. Pop, 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 pop. I mean, you're down 9 with a minute to go or something. A minute 12. He had 4 straight threes. One of them, the guy's in the paint. He dashes out to the 3-point line and shoots like a turnaround jumper. It was unbelievable in this. So if he makes it to the Final Four or the regional final, say the regional final, they lose to Texas Tech. What's his deal then?
And he probably gets a 1 or 2 year extension and nothing close to this. And where I was originally going with the question is, a national championship used to mean a lifetime of job security. It no longer does.
Chris Lamonis.
It doesn't. Ask Ed Ogeron. You know, it no longer even guarantees you 3 years, okay?
Yeah.
And this is a long-term contract. That's why I asked the question.
But I think, he's obvious. Can he put together a roster in this era?
Yeah.
No, well, that's the most.
He's got the second most players coming back in the SEC. All 6 of them.
Oh, man. Don't forget our friends at K&M Automotive. It's the only place I take my vehicle. My buddy Jason Payne at K&M. It's they're open 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Segan and Perkins. Segan and Perkins, right across Segan from Ambrosia Bakery. So, auto repair, I mean, you name it, AC repair, oil changes, tires, whatever it is, man. Go check out my buddies. Belts, hoses, electronics. That engine light comes, the most basic. Wait, what? Why is this engine light on? Bring it over. He'll figure it all out for you. And he's going to give you an honest deal. That's the most important thing. He might be busy because he has so much repeat customers, but if he's too busy to take care of it at that specific time, he'll schedule a more convenient time for both of you. K&M Automotive, it's the only place I take my vehicle. Segan at Perkins, across Segan from Ambrosia Bakery.
Live at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Ott and Yanni from Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee Drive on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Trainer Bill Mott says that the Preakness will not include the Kentucky Derby winner Sovereignty. Had a little bit of a clipped exchange with one of the other horses, and that produced a crack, and so he will not participate in the Preakness. They're going, not a serious injury, though. They will point Sovereignty towards the Belmont Stakes. But
that's what Michael said yesterday.
Yeah,
huh?
Michael Baychak said that yesterday. He did not expect Sovereignty to be in the Preakness, and Bill Mott makes that official today. Thanks to the folks here at Mike Anderson's. Come by, get you some oysters, man. How good are these char-grilled oysters?
Good, man. Yes,
phenomenal. Tomorrow, we're right down the street at Finbom. Until then, for Jordan back in the studio, for Jimmy Adam, Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5.